Hi there, I'm Sue Resig, and tonight we're going to have scalloped potatoes, one of my favorites. In fact, it's so good I've been afraid to make it. The last time I did, I ate the whole pan. So I have to be careful on that, but they are kind of fun. They come off and I was eating them like potato chips. So anyhow, this special recipe is designed for Mary Borntreger and her husband, who won the prize at my party, online party that I had. And they got to choose a recipe that they'd like, and I would do the video for them. So this is how we make scalloped potatoes Gerson style. I start with 1.75 pounds to 2 pounds of potatoes, and that was actually 6 medium potatoes, medium to medium small potatoes, okay? I've already put them through a food processor. If you want to hand cut, that's your business, but they're on the thin side. They're about 1/8 of an inch, maybe a little less thin. That's a nice size. Nice slice of potato there. I've got my potatoes sliced, and for the broth, instead of milk and butter and salt and pepper, we're going to use our Hippocrates soup. This is 2.5 cups of Hippocrates soup. I know people make it according to their taste. If yours is on the thick side, you're going to want a thinner. This is very liquidy. You want a very thin Hippocrates soup for making this. And that's my 2.5 cups. I'm adding 1/4 cup of our old-fashioned oats. I'm adding 2 tablespoons of celery leaves. This is just 1/2 of 1/4 cup. And you might be wondering why I'm using celery leaves. Well, regular celery has such a texture. I don't want that celery texture in our nice creamy scalloped potatoes. So we can get the same flavor from celery, from the leaves, and it'll blend up nice and smooth, and you won't have the texture of the celery in there. That's a little trick. We're going to put in a little chunk of onion and let that get pureed. And I'm going to put in a little parsley, but I'm going to wait until after I blend it, get everything pureed, and then throw the parsley in. I don't like to get the parsley too pureed because then it turns the liquid green, and I don't want green scalloped potatoes. So we'll put those on in just a minute. So I'm going to blend this and we'll be back. Perfect. That just chopped up that parsley without pureeing it. Now the way I construct this, I start putting slices of potato and I overlap them a little bit in the pan. Some of these are a little thinner. I was testing my blade to see how thick I wanted them. So there we go. Kind of like dealing out cards. We're just going to have a little card game here with our potatoes. You get the feeling. Let me just grab a few more, and I just want to show you how I do a layer. Guess I could have had that done, couldn't I? All right, there we go. So that's a first layer. And what I do is I okay, just a second. I always forget about that button. I guess that's staying in. Okay. Am I covered with it? Anyhow, I pour just a little bit over to cover. Because I want to get a little bit of that pureed oatmeal between all the layers there. Just enough to cover. And then I'm going to continue doing this. I'm going to continue filling in, you know, overlapping and doing more. And then I'm going to do another layer and another layer. I'll just keep doing it until I run out of supplies. Hopefully it all works out in the end. Can't believe I did that. Oh dear. Oh, there we go. It worked out just right. I just had these little scrappy ends left and I didn't use those. And it filled the pan nicely. And then what I do to cover it is I have parchment and foil, and then this way the foil isn't touching it. The foil isn't touching it. And the secret to baking these is this. You cover them up good, but then you're going to peel back one corner because you want to be able to let a little bit of steam escape. And that's the secret to having them cook up nicely. And we're going to put them in for an hour and a half. After about 15 minutes before they're done, you can take the top off. And then when you go to test them about an hour and 20 minutes in, take the foil off, test them. If they're not tender, you want them very tender, then leave the top off. You can let them finish baking that way. But I have my oven set for 350, and we will see you in about an hour and a half, okay? All right, here it is out of the oven. And what I did when it took a little longer than an hour and a half, and when it was tender the way I wanted it, I just turned the broiler on for a couple minutes just to give it a little more color. So now it's got a nice color, like it's nice and tender. And I did sneak one out at one point and it tasted great. So we're having scalloped potatoes, beaten onion salad with a red wine vinegar and lime vinaigrette over it. And what else are we having? And then I'm cooking some Swiss chard. So I'm going to put the beets over a bed of lettuce. That's going to be our salad. I have the scalloped potatoes for our potato, and I've got Swiss chard cooking. So you've got a nice meal. My Hippocrates soup is cooking on the stove, so I think we're eating like kings tonight. I hope you enjoyed the scalloped potatoes. Have a good night.